What's good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the King McClure Show, and I'm your host, King McClure. Excited to be your home for everything news, notes, whatever. College basketball, sprinkled in with a little bit of extra. We have a loaded show for you as we do every single week, all right? Is this year, as of right now, is it a two-team race for the national championship? And also, should we be concerned about Kansas superstar Darryn Peterson? We have all that and more for you coming up on today's show. But first, you know how we start this thing off. 15 on 15. My man Hank, all right? My man Hank is going to pop up on the screen first off. He's also going to put a clock on there, but usually it's 15 on 15. Today, we're going to change it. Today, we're going to go 15 in 5. Yes. I know 15 minutes is a long time. We're going to shrink it down by 10. We're going to go 15 teams, the top 15 teams in the country, get it done in 5 minutes. Hank, are you ready?
I'm ready. And King, you know I'm a fan of yours. Like I support you, but this is tough, man. You got 20 seconds per team right here. Like this is a lot. And you're a loquacious fellow.
This might be tough.
You like to speak. You like to talk.
Whoa, loquacious. Give me a definition.
Yeah, I think it just means like you like to talk a lot, you know, and someone who likes to use big words, sound fancy, they would be loquacious. I mean, it's early in the show. It's early in the show for English class.
As you can tell, Hank does not know the definition of loquacious. He just tried to use the word. He tried to use a massive word on here and then acted like I wasn't just going to call him out and see what the definition was. He doesn't know, but it's okay. It's fine. Nonetheless, I got 5 minutes. Hank challenged me. Let's see if we can knock it out, all right? Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Number 1, we have Arizona Wildcats. Massive win against Alabama. This team has the best resume in the country. And it's not even close. They are legit. They are up there. And one of the two teams that we'll get into for a national championship discussion, all right? Number 2, Michigan Wolverines. Matter of fact, let's go real back. We'll go back one more time. Arizona is also the first team ever with 5 ranked wins in their first 9 games. Hank put a note in there. I thought that was a great note. All right, number 2, Michigan. They played They played Villanova and they played Maryland last week. They got their 7th straight win. That's 15 or more points. So that's impressive. They're good. You know how they rock, but we'll talk about them later also. Duke, they actually didn't play last week. They have a really tough test this week against Texas Tech. We'll learn a lot about Duke. We'll learn a lot about Texas Tech in this ball game, but that should be a really, really good matchup. Number 4, Iowa State. They beat their rivals in Iowa in the game in which in the first half looked like it was going Iowa's direction, but they figured it out, right? Then they beat Eastern Illinois. This is a tough, gritty team. You know how they get down. You know how TJ Alderberger is. We talked about him last week on the show. Culture is what matters. UConn Huskies, good win over Florida, all right? Good win over Hank's Longhorns. This team is legit. This team is a Final Four lock once again. I'm going to keep saying that. They are a Final Four lock in my book. Let's go to number 6, Purdue. Beat Minnesota, beat Marquette. Shaka Smart Marquette is absolutely struggling. Goodness gracious. But nonetheless, they stayed the same at number 6. They have a really good game against Auburn. I think that we will learn a lot about Auburn. We'll learn a lot about Purdue as well in this game to see if Purdue can really match up with the physicality and the athleticism in the SEC. We'll see. All right, number 7, Gonzaga. Last week they were number 8. This week they are number 7. They beat UCLA. They beat them by 10. Good win. They have Oregon this week. Interesting matchup against Jackson Shellstad. We'll see how that goes, but they're at number 7. All right, number 8, Houston Cougars. Last week they were number 7. They dropped one spot to number 8. Good team, really good team. Tough culture. They play Arkansas this week. That'll be a great matchup between 2 amazing freshmen. When you look at Darius Acuff, you look at Kingston Flemings. I mean, those are 2 of the premier point guards in college basketball, not just as freshmen, but in all of college basketball. That'll be a great matchup this week that happens on Saturday, December the 20th. High-level game. I cannot wait to watch that one, especially with the way Trevon Brazile is playing as well. All right, let's go. Number 9, Michigan State. They stayed the same at number 9. They have not moved. They don't play anybody this week. They play Toledo. They play Oakland. Should be 2 good games in which they just cruise by. But this team is, once again, gritty, culture. Izzo has those guys playing at a high level. They beat Penn State last week. They're a really good team. Number 10, BYU stayed the same. Once again, number 10, no change. There's not a lot of change this week in the polls. They beat Clemson last week in a game which you saw what happened with Rob Wright, knocked that shot down. They played UC Riverside also. They play absolutely nobody this week. They play Pacific. They play Abilene Christian and Eastern Washington. Should be 3 games in which they beat all of those teams by 30 or more. Easy sweep. That team is good, but we'll see how they respond coming off of this upcoming week, because I feel like once you get in the Big 12 play, the competition gets a lot stiffer, obviously. All right. Louisville, they actually have a tough game tonight. They have a tough game. We're recording this on Tuesday. They play Tennessee tonight. That'll be a great matchup. When you talk about the guard, you talk about Conwell versus Gillespie. That'll be a high-level guard matchup. We talk about Mint. 2 potential top 5 picks in Mint and Mikael Brown. I know there'll be a lot of scouts there. That'll be a really, 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 really good game. Tough game, though, for Louisville, because Tennessee is one of the most physical teams in the country.
1 minute, King. Get going.
So if you can't match their physicality, you have no chance to win this game. So that will be tested. All right, number 12, North Carolina Tar Heels. Last week, they were number 14. They moved up 2 spots. They played nobody last week. They played South Carolina Upstate. And then they actually, this Saturday, they play Ohio State. That's a tough matchup. I did Ohio State last week, Ohio State, West Virginia. Bruce Thornton is a dude. He will give them problems. Trust me, he gets buckets at a high rate. Let's go. Number 13, Vanderbilt played nobody again last week. They played Central Arkansas. They only beat them by 11, which is kind of surprising. Central Arkansas hung with them for majority of the game. They played Memphis and Wake Forest. Should be 2 good games. Arkansas, they played Texas Tech last week. Really good win. Really good team. They play Houston on Saturday. We'll see what happens. And Nebraska, new to this list. They had a good win over Illinois, and they have a good game this week coming up. We'll talk about them later on in the show. So I kind of sort of did it. I was probably like 5 minutes and maybe like 6 seconds, right?
I was fitting you ended on Nebraska because that was a buzzer beater right there. Chucking it up. Final seconds.
There we go. All right, let's see who's falling out the top 15. Last week, Alabama was number 16, and Illinois was number 18. And they both have fallen out of this top 15 list. But I like this, Hank. 15 and 5. I like this way better than 15 and 15 because I feel like 15 minutes is a long time to just ramble straight. So I like this a lot better, Hank. I think we're gonna do this more often.
And I don't mind. I've been, start off the podcast. I get a little nap. Get to go lay down. Let you handle the load. But no, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's that was great. Also, I'm impressed you were able to run through that so quickly. Let's get to. I saw a tweet this weekend that I wanted your opinion on. So it's Pat 40. He said this. Here we go. History is littered with premature November, December college basketball pronouncements. But give me Michigan and Arizona, and I might give you the field. Now, I saw this and I was like, that's crazy. It's December 15th. You can't be narrowing the college basketball field down to 2 teams. And then I thought about it. Arizona is really, really good. And Michigan, all the nerds, all the advanced stats tell me that Michigan is one of the top teams in the country. So is this as crazy of a statement as my first reaction made it seem? Or is Pat 40 onto something? Are there 2 teams that we should be paying attention to from now until March?
Let's break this down. All right. I like this. Let's break this down, because let's start with Arizona. I think when you look at Arizona, for you to have, I want to say 5 top 15 wins and 6 top 25 wins, and we haven't even made it to January, I think that's arguably the most impressive resume up to this point that we've ever seen. Tommy Lloyd ducked no smoke. He wanted all the smoke. And here's my thing, Hank. Come back on the screen. Here's my thing, Hank. Here's my problem with us. We see Michigan have a span of 3 good games where in the Players Tournament, they win the Players Tournament. They beat every team by 30. It's not even close, right? They smack Gonzaga. Okay, cool. That's fine. But why do we not hype up Arizona the same way in which people are hyping up Michigan? Like, people are literally acting like Michigan is the greatest team of all time. And I'm not understanding this. And I get they're a really good basketball team. But what this Arizona team has done, truthfully, has never, ever been done Never ever been done. What was the stat that you put up there earlier? Let me see if I can scroll up to this. You said, what'd you say?
5 ranked wins in their first 9 games.
They're the first team ever, huh?
Yeah.
They're the first team ever to have 5. I think they have 6 ranked wins. If my knowledge shows me right, I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me. But they're the first team ever to do this. What this Arizona team is doing has never been done. But we continuously hype up this Michigan team. We hype up Duke like these two teams are the greatest teams ever. And Arizona is literally showing us something that has never been done before. So why are we not giving Arizona the same love? But you know what? I'm going to change that because I'm going to be the one to do it. I'm going to be the one to give them the love, Hank, because it's absolutely ridiculous that we don't sit up there and talk about how good this Arizona team is, how good Jaden Bradley is, how good Kriva is, how good these dudes are, how good of a coach Tommy Lloyd is. He ducked no smoke this non-conference schedule. Ducked no smoke. He wanted it all with everybody. And every single game they play, every single ranked matchup they play, they just deliver. I don't know what else to say about them. They just produce, they deliver. You can't argue with the facts. You cannot argue with the facts, Hank.
So two thoughts here. And the first is that like in college sports, like all sports, brand name matters. And Michigan, especially in college basketball with their history, the Fab Five, whatever, like they have been one of the best teams in the history of the sport. They're one of the most talked about teams in the history of the sport. So them, come into prominence like this, especially when I think they were a little bit of like a hipster darling pick. Like, people like you knew who Big Yaks was coming into the season, but the average college basketball fan did not. So the way that Dusty May put this roster together, smart people saw it coming. And now that they've been so good, I think a lot of people are taking their victory laps a little early. The other thing I'll say about Michigan is that like maybe there's something to be said about it just looks different than other teams. They're so big and so athletic and they move so fast. It's a little bit of like the Wembanyama effect in the NBA where like you turn that game on and you see a guy on your screen and right away you're like, what is going on here? This is something different. This is something I haven't seen before.
Listen, I'm not buying it. It sounds good, Hank, but I'm not buying that because Arizona has a rich history too. All the championships they won when they were in the Pac-12, all the pros they produced. Arguably, Arizona's history is deeper than Michigan's history.
Definitely, if you look at the individual players, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, Michigan had the Fab Five era, but outside of the Fab Five era, I mean, I don't necessarily know if Michigan. I don't think Michigan is really. I mean, they had the era with what's my man named Trey Burke. That era too was good, but Michigan basketball isn't as rich as Arizona. Like Arizona's a massive brand, but I think you are right. I think it does look a little different, and maybe Michigan fans are just so into basketball right now because football just went completely down. We ain't gonna get into that.
Let's stay far away from that one, King. From my producer hat on.
But because football is going down, maybe that they're just so high on the basketball team. So maybe that's the case. But oh my goodness, nonetheless, this Arizona team is absolutely legit. And I'm not gonna agree with my man who tweeted that out because Arizona, yes. Michigan, I don't necessarily think that they're good, they're great, but I wouldn't put them in my national championship contendership right now.
We were talking about this earlier, and we decided the best way to break this down would be to let's rank our contenders. Let's put them in some tiers. So our first tier right here.
Let's do this.
This is sharpening their scissors. So these are the teams that are getting ready to cut the nets down. They've got everything on the court is ready. They're just making sure their instruments are tight.
For sure.
Who are your teams in this tier?
So my contender tiers, my top tier is Arizona, number 1. Well, in no particular order. This Arizona, Iowa State, UConn. Those are my 3 teams right now that are at the top tier of winning a national championship. And I know you're going to come for me about this whole Michigan team. And why is Michigan not in the top tier? Why is Gonzaga not in the top tier? Well, I'm going to tell you why right now. Tell you why. Let's go. Because my second tier right now is Michigan, Gonzaga, Houston. So let me tell you why I put these 2 teams here, okay? Because I think both of them run into the same issue. Hank, what do I always preach on this show?
The more creamer you put in your coffee, the easier it is to digest. some crap about sugar in your coffee. No, you say guards win in March. You say guards win in March.
Me and Hank, just a little backstory. Hank called me soft earlier because I put creamer in my coffee. I don't drink it straight black. We're not going to get into that right now. However, later on in the show, we have to process this because I want to know how you guys feel about not putting cream in your sugar. Is that soft to make it this color instead of just straight black?
That's ridiculous. You're drinking. All right, whatever. Yeah, you're right. You're right, though. Guards win in March is the take.
This is 50 calories. Nonetheless, all right. Guards win in March. All right. So to break this down, let's look at the last five. Look at the last five national champions. Okay. And when I say guards win in March, now granted, I do think that you need a complete team in order to pull this off. However, I think coaches can only do so much during games. So you have to have a floor general. You have to have a guy, like I like to say, late shot clock guys who can go get you a bucket and who can go take over a game off of the bounce when the shot clock gets to 10 or under without the coach calling a play for them. All right, so let's break this down. Let's go last year, Florida. You had Walter Clayton. We saw the shots that Walter Clayton hit. We saw the big moments in which he created. My man wasn't even on draft boards. And because of his NCAA performance, because of his performance in the tournament, got drafted in the first round. When he came from Iona, my man came from Iona, was on nobody's draft board, rose up just due to his performance in the latter end of the SEC conference play, and then in the NCAA tournament. Walter Clayton was that guard. Good guards help you win games. I also Elijah Martin, elite. I mean, these two guards were two of the best guards, not only in the SEC, but in the country. Walter Clayton was arguably the best guard in the country. Their front court was good, but Walter Clayton was phenomenal, all right? Let's go to 2024, UConn. Now, granted, you had, that was Donovan Clingan. You had Caravan that year, but you had Tristan Newton and Stephon Castle in your backcourt. Stephon Castle is an emerging star in the NBA. He is an emerging star in the NBA. He's an NBA-level guard. Tristan Newton was phenomenal for that team. Tristan Newton was that guy who could handle it. He could take you off the bounce. He hit big shots. He put the bigs in positions to succeed. I mean, between those two guards, you had two high-level guards. The year before, you had UConn again with Tristan Newton and Hawkins in the backcourt. And Hawkins was, once again, an NBA first-round pick. You see my constant theme? Let's go to 2022, because this is the team in which I'm not going to say goes against what I'm saying, but it's not necessarily point guards. However, you had a plethora of size at the guard position because you had three NBA players. You had DeJuan Harris at the point guard. He's not an NBA player, but you had DeJuan Harris at the point guard spot. Then you had Ochai Agbaji. You had Christian Brown. You had Jalen Wilson. Now, when you have three NBA players, you're going to win some games. You're going to be successful in March. However, Ochai and Christian Brown, even though they're kind of sort of wings, I would count them as guards too, because any one of those dudes can go get you buckets at any moment. That might be the one exception. The one exception to my rule is when you have a plethora of NBA players on your team.
And another thing about that team, like Ochai and Brown both have moved to kind of be wings in the NBA now, but they handled the ball a lot more in college. They were perfectly adequate for a college ball handler. And that team got out and ran a lot. You know, there wasn't as much settled offense. They were so good on defense, and they turned those into a ton of fast break points that year.
Yeah, they were elite on defense. They had size 2 through 5. I mean, that team might be the one exception, but I would still count them as guards, at 3 NBA level guards, because they handled the ball, and like Hank said, they spread you out. They could get to whatever they wanted to do. They had 3 late shot clock guys. All right, so that's Kansas. And let's go to my Baylor Bears in 2021. You had arguably the best trio of guards together, a combination of guards together, that we've ever seen. When you look at Davion Mitchell, NBA player, Jared Butler was an NBA player, but is playing top league in the Euro League right now, making $1 million. And then you talk about Maceo Teague. The combination of those 3 guards, and mind you, you also had Adam Flagler on that team, who won a championship with OKC, and you had LJ Cryer on that team, coming off the bench. LJ Cryer didn't even play. So you had LJ Cryer and Adam Flagler coming off of your bench. LJ Cryer was a first-team All-American last year at Houston, national championship player, didn't win, but got to national championship, led Houston to that. And then Adam Flagler won a championship for OKC last year. When I say good guards, you have to have good guards to help you win. Now, that can't be the only thing that your team is made out of. You clearly need other players. You clearly need bigs because, UConn had Sanogo. They had Klingon. Obviously, you need a complete team. But when you have to have good guards that can take over games at any moment. Because the later it comes down the line, they will have to take over a game eventually.
So this is, great point. I like the way you laid all this out. You've touched on this a couple of times, but this is the deepest we've gone on this topic. And I have no arguments to give you. I will say, though, how does this apply to Michigan? And how have they had the success they've had if their guards aren't up to snuff?
Because I think once you get to the tournament, all right, they have the best front court in college basketball. When you look at Mara, you look at Morez Johnson, you look at Big Yaks. And Big Yaks is arguably the most versatile player in all of college basketball.
Not a debate.
So it's no secret. Yeah. It's no secret. You know what I'm saying? It's not even close. It's no secret that their front court is elite. I get concerned with their guards. You look at Elliot Cadeau, you look at McKinney, you look at Namari Burnett. I don't necessarily think any of those guards can take over a game any given night. Elliot Cadeau is the first one that comes to mind, but he's such a great passer that a lot of teams are going to force him to score. Like, you are going to have to score. But they play through their bigs. They play through Yaks. They don't really have late shot clock guards that can create. And also my other concern is because Morez Johnson Jr., because Mara are, not really perimeter shooters, it's hard for their guards to really be able to create because the lane is always so shrunk because they can't step out to the three-point line and really space the floor and knock it down from deep. So eventually you're going to run into a team. You're going to run into a team like a Houston, like a Tennessee, like an Iowa State that's just going to out-physical you and tell you. Because in games like that, Hank, right, we used to play West Virginia. And it was back when they had Javon Carter, when they had Dexter Miles. They would press Virginia back then. And the one thing in those types of games, those are games where teams get you out of your sets. They get you out of your play calls. So what do you have to do? You as a player has to take it upon yourself to just go make plays. Your guards just have to go make plays. Because they're going to get you out of your sets. They're not going to allow you to be comfortable. They're going to blitz you on ball screens. They're going to get you out of your spots. They're not going to allow you to just get easy catches. You can't run your offense on teams in which pressure you and speed you up and pride themselves on the defensive side because they make it that much harder. So you have to have guards that can just go get it, go get downhill. I remember my sophomore year, Sweet 16. We were playing South Carolina, Cinderia Stormwood, a year they went to the Final Four. We were in Madison Square Garden. It was the moment of my life, Hank. Guess what the score was?
67 to, no, I don't know. You tell me.
We got beat by 30. We got smacked by 30. Sheesh. And the reason why is because we weren't equipped to go make plays. Our point guard was a guy that just didn't love pressure. I didn't have a great game, so I really wasn't equipped at that moment I was a sophomore. I wasn't equipped to be able to handle that level of pressure. When I say pressure, South Carolina didn't do anything special. They just they got up in you. They tried to speed you up, and players just had to make plays. You will come across games where players just have to make plays, and not the bigs, not the wings, but the guards. The guards just have to be able to get by the defender and create. Whether that means score, whether that means facilitate, but you have to be able to create as a guard. You got to have late shot clock guys that can get you into something without the coach calling it. So that's my concern for this Michigan team. But let's continue because my third tier team, Hank titled it Better Luck Next Year.
I don't think you finished the second tier. I think
my bad. Yeah. Michigan, Gonzaga, and Houston. Michigan was my second tier. So my third tier team is Duke and Purdue. That's my third tier. I think they have a chance, but I don't think Purdue guards well enough. I don't think Duke's guards are good enough. So that's why I put them in the third tier. And then My fourth tier that Hank included, I didn't put this in the fourth tier, but I'm gonna just shout out my man Hank. And this is Hank's fourth tier, right? He's going Michigan State, BYU, and Louisville. I don't think either one of these three teams will win a championship. I just don't see them being better than anybody else on my list.
I got reasons for all these, but yeah, Michigan State. Michigan State, you said guards when in March, they got fears. Like that's a guy, and same with Louisville. That's why he included him as well. Like that's a dude we've seen him get hot before. You talked about his watching him in USA basketball over the summer, and then BYU, their fans get so mad if we don't take him seriously. So like,
listen, I love BYU. Hey, BYU has the nicest fans in the world. I will stamp that. They have the nicest fans in the world. All right, they are amazing. So shout out to all the BYU fans. However, I don't think that they are equipped to win national championship. They're a really great team. They can make it to the Elite Eight. I think they can make a deep run. I just don't think they're equipped to win a national championship. But nonetheless, all right, we got more for you in this show. So we'll hit a lot more when we come right back. And we're back, all right? So game spotlight. Kansas played NC State. Really, really good game. Went to overtime. Kansas won 77-76. Melvin Council, he's a career 29% three-point shooter. My man went 9 for 15 from the three-point line. He scored 36 points. This dude right here was unconscious. And I think it's funny because I did a St. Bonaventure game. I did 2 of their games last year. And I watched him play. And he was not a shooter. He just had one of those games where he went into absolute flow state. And if you're a hooper, like you know what flow state is. If you're a hooper. If you're a real hooper, you get buckets. But he was in flow state.
I think it was like early. He was seeing it go through. Like he had a couple like early, a couple open threes early in the game, and just like nothing but net. And you get that confidence built up a little bit. It leads you to start trying some stuff that you wouldn't normally try. And like you said, flow state. It was just working for him. But they needed every one of those points. They needed all those buckets.
Everyone. And this is a perfect example of like, as a player, when you have a scouting report. And you saying, hey, this guy's really not a shooter, and he sees a few go in, you better learn how to adjust. Because if you can't adjust, you end up with stats like this, results like this, right? Because you take Melvin Council out this game, Kansas has no shot of winning. Because Darryn Peterson, he did play 31 minutes, but he checked out with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. And he finished with 17 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. However, I'm concerned. I'm a little concerned, Hank. And the reason why is he had already missed 7 games, 7 of the 11 games this season. And with him missing 7 of these 11 games, for you to come back and then have to exit the game due to the same injury, that's not good. That's not good at all. Because it tells me that this injury is more serious than what you probably expected. Because for a fact, this Kansas team prolonged his return. They didn't try to rush him back. They were playing well. They were winning. With Darryn Peterson being a potential top 3 pick, that they were not in a rush to try to get him back, and they took their time with allowing him to come back. Therefore, what does that mean? That means this injury might be a lot more serious than we expected. And truth be told, I personally would not be surprised. I hope this isn't the case, but I would not be surprised if they shut him down for the whole season. If they shut him down. This is a top 3 pick we're talking about. A top 3 pick, and the biggest thing for him is his health. And I get it, right? You want to go play in this Kansas jersey. You want to play in college basketball for sure. That's why you chose Kansas. But if you're a top 3 pick, I don't necessarily see the downside of shutting you down. I don't see the downside. And I wouldn't be surprised if this Kansas team shuts Darryn Peterson down, or if Darryn Peterson himself and his agent shuts himself down for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm of 2 minds here for sure. Like, one, as a fan of college basketball and a fan of hoops in general, like Darryn Peterson, you want to see a guy like that on the court. Like, he is so much fun to watch. He's so electric. And I think he's one of those players that is capable of creating moments when we get down the stretch to the bit, like through conference play and into March. He's the type of guy that like your eyes are glued to the TV when he's got the ball, because anything is possible. On the other hand, like, I think of Kyrie Irving. was a guy who was clearly incredibly talented in college, but I think he only played, what was it? Was it like 8 games in his 1 year at Duke?
Yeah.
Still was the number 1 pick. Worked out pretty well for him in the NBA, and was able to create those moments, later on in his career. So
for sure,
I think maybe, go ahead.
But I do think that in this year's draft, with competing against AJ DeBansta and competing against Cameron Boozer, I do think this is a reason why he could potentially slide to number 3. I do think this injury could cause him to slide because, I mean, in a year like typically Darryn Peterson is the number 1 pick, no question about it. However, you're seeing AJ DeBansta have these 2 massive comebacks. You're seeing Cameron Boozer be the player of the year candidate and absolutely dominating. So then how can you look at Cam Boozer? How can you look at AJ DeBansta and say, hey, I'm going to take this injured Darryn Peterson? Because although Darryn Peterson was really, really good, I just don't know if those 8 games, that 8-game body of work or 7-game body of work is something that I would choose over a full season of AJ DeBansta and a full season of Cameron Boozer.
Yeah.
Like I just think those be two of your more for sure picks, So that'll be something that I'm looking for. I'm looking for in the next week to see if Kansas is going to come out and say that they are going to shut him down, because I would not be surprised if they decide to do that. All right, that's enough on that.
One more question about Kansas for you though. Early on in the year when we talked about them, you were very unimpressed with the way they played. You said that this team was just Darryn Peterson and a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
I invented a new player right there, Darryn Peterson and a bunch of guys. So could it be with him being out of the lineup and then coming in and going out again? They've had to have guys like Melvin Council step up. Could it be that this is actually, and this is a good thing for the Jayhawks? Like maybe they have to learn to play without their star. Other guys are going to get the chance to like have the ball in crunch time and be decision makers. And then if they do get down the stretch to the Big 12 tournament or to March, and then they are able to get Darryn Peterson back, he'll have a better supporting cast around it. Is this cope? Am I coping right now, or is there any facts?
No, I think that's real. I think that's super real, and I think that they have gotten so much better. Like at the beginning of the season, when the season first started, had they went on a road to NC State, they're not winning that game if Darryn Peterson doesn't play. They're not winning that game without Darryn Peterson. But because they got better in the Players Era tournament and they were able to get reps, they were able to gain confidence. Guys like Trey Wright were able to step up in moments. Melvin Council was able to step up. Dawson stepping up. Badunga. All of these guys, Rosario, all of these guys, Elmarco Jackson, are guys who are understanding how their role and how to step up in moments and gaining that level of confidence. So now when you go on the road to NC State's a good team. Will Wade is a good coach. So when you go play a team like that on the road, you're able to get wins and you're able to gain confidence. Even though Darryn Peterson did play in that game, I still think without Darryn Peterson, they still could have won that game and could have figured it out because they've gained so much confidence over the past 3 or 4 weeks, So I do think if they don't shut them down, they should definitely take their time because Kansas is still a tournament team without Darryn Peterson. They are still a tournament contender. However, Darryn Peterson takes them to a second weekend type of team. So I do think that they will gain more confidence as the season prolongs, but Darryn Peterson should not be in a rush to be back. All right. But speaking of rush to be back, we are in no rush, but we will be right back. All right, we're back, and we have a game for you, hot or not. Hank is going to throw something out to me. He's going to throw a team, throw a player. I don't know what he's going to throw out. Hank is a loose cannon sometimes. He's going to throw something out at me, and I'm going to let you know if it's hot or if it's not, and we'll see how this goes. Hank, what you got for me?
All right, first one, I think I know the answer to this. Nebraska.
Extremely hot. When you look at that team, I'm a huge fan. I love the size they play with. I love the way that they spread the ball. Their top 5 players, top 5 scorers are all shooting above 37% from the three-point line. They spread you out. Teams are so worried about what they do from the three-point line that gives them free lanes to drive. And they're top 10, I want to say, in 2-point field goal percentage. They're dangerous. I mean, Rink Mast is a dude. Sanford is a dude. They can hoop. They all can hoop. Nebraska's extremely hot.
All right, next up. How about Syracuse?
Ooh. Syracuse is the most confusing team in the country. You can beat who'd they beat? Was that Tennessee? Yeah, you can beat a Tennessee team, and then you lose to Hofstra at the crib. How does that even happen? They are extremely confusing. So I'm going to say this week they are not hot because you're losing to Hofstra. You lose a bye game like that. Absolutely unacceptable. Syracuse, you're not hot.
Look, I mean, like replacing a coach like Boeheim, that's never going to be easy. But yeah, I would have hoped for some more immediate success and not this inconsistency. All right, how about Kentucky? We were down on them last week. What do you think? They beat Indiana? Maybe?
I would say, I'm going to say warm. They're in the middle. They're like lukewarm because I don't think that they're hot. I don't think that they're back, but I do think they took a step in the right direction by winning the game against Indiana. They're not back, though, by any means, but I do think that they're heading in the right direction. So I'm going to say they're like lukewarm.
Shout out to Vic with the speedy typing on that lower right there. If you can't see, if you're listening to the podcast version, check us out on YouTube. You'll see all of Vic's little jokes. All right, we mentioned this team earlier. Alabama is getting healthy. They got Bethea back. They had a great game against Arizona. They held Coahuila to just 6 points, and yet they still found a way to lose. What's wrong with this team? What's going on? Hot or not?
I would say that Alabama. I'm not going to say they're not hot. I'm going to put them in the same category as Kentucky. I'm going to say that they're kind of warm, and the reason why is because the style in which they play at, they want to get a lot of possessions. They want to speed up the tempo. They're going to take a lot of threes. That is subject to lose some games, especially when you play against higher opponents who can control the tempo, like a Arizona or like a Purdue. So I think that when you play the style in which Nate Oates wants to play, it can be really tough to beat higher quality opponents if your shot is not falling and if you're not scoring at the rate or your offense isn't as efficient as you want it to be. So I'm not saying that they're not hot. I'm not saying that they are hot. They're kind of in this lukewarm range where they've taken some losses to some really, really good teams, but they haven't taken any losses to any bad teams. So I'm going to put them in the middle, lukewarm.
All right. I like it. Let's move on. Kings of the week. You had a guy you want to shout out, and I'm going to sneak one in here as well. So who's your king of the week?
We are going with Bruce Thornton. I did their game. Ohio State versus West Virginia. Bruce Thornton, number one, is a top 10 scorer in the country. Number two, the game against Illinois before the West Virginia game, he had the best first half performance I have ever seen in college basketball. Not even joking. My man went unconscious from the three-point line. I want to say he went like 6 for 7. Yeah, whatever. I'm just waiting on you to say it. Go ahead, say it. Pop on the screen and say it.
I don't need to say it. You know it already.
Yeah. All right. Well, he went on a massive heat check. In this game in West Virginia, not in West Virginia, it was in Cleveland, but the game against West Virginia, in that second half in double OT in both overtimes, my man absolutely took over. He made that game so entertaining. That was high level. I was extremely impressed. Bruce Thornton is a dude. He's top 10 in the nation in scoring, can facilitate also, averages about 5 or 6 assists. He is a dude that is not getting talked about a lot. That's my personal king of the week. Watch him make some noise against this North Carolina team this week. Who you got?
I like it. I'm going to shout out Blue Kane on a aside from having an awesome name, but Blue Kane is guard at Georgia right now. He's 6'5". He's leading the team in rebounds. He's only getting like 16 points a game, but every time he scores a bucket, it just looks like the hardest bucket anyone scored all night. I'm gonna confess to something. Occasionally, I'm just a highlight watcher. I don't get to watch every game with as much detail as I like. But I'll hop on Twitter. I'll search up who's playing, or I'll go on YouTube and watch the full highlight packages. Multiple times this season, I've been like, it's Blue Kane again. This guy's a bucket. He's just a fun player to root for. And he's not a king of the week. He's a Hank of the week. Give me the Hank of the week.
Oh, okay.
Not as
I like
prestigious of
that.
an honor, but he's up
I
there.
like
for sure.
that. The Hank of the week. Georgia is actually a pretty good team. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're actually really competitive, and they're actually a pretty good. They're a tournament team for sure. All right, Hank. Let's get to one of my favorite segments because we have to touch on this one because I'm gonna have to sit up for this. Because this week we got who's tripping, right? One of my favorite segments, by the way. Hank, let me read to you who's tripping. Let me preface this by saying this hot take culture is absolutely killing sports. Hot take culture is killing sports. And this week, who's tripping? Joel Klatt. Everybody knows who this man is. He is Fox's lead college football analyst. I have so much admiration for Joel Klatt. I think he's great at his job. He's a great analyst. When I watch his games, I'm really impressed. But what I wasn't impressed with was this horrific take that he had when I forgot who he was talking to, but this horrific take that he had. And we're going to read what he said. He said, in terms of, well, let's talk about the college football playoffs. Obviously, JMU, Tulane are in the college football playoffs. And he just had the audacity to try to link in or make a comparison to the NCAA tournament. Idiot. He says, we don't want Cinderellas. We want the best teams playing each other at the end. The NCAA basketball tournament is a joke. It's the dumbest and least fair tournament in all of sports. Then he says, we go and we put teams at odd times on neutral sites in a one-game affair that doesn't crown a true champion. We're not doing anything that tells us who's the best team over the course of the entire season. Listen, Joel Klatt, once again, I have the utmost admiration for you. But this take was so stupid. This was an absolute joke. And it's almost so stupid that I don't think he truly believes this. I don't think he can actually believe what he just said. Because for him being as smart of a guy as he is, to be Fox's top analyst, you have to be a smart guy. So because you're a smart guy, right? First off, let's backtrack. I see his point with James Madison and with Tulane. In the college football playoffs, when there's 16 teams, I don't think there's 16 to 12 teams, Hank. Am I tripping? I'm a basketball guy.
12 teams.
Oh, okay.
12 teams,
12
but they might go to 16 next year. It's whatever. It's going to change in a couple of years.
With 12 teams, you want your best 12 teams in. So, yes, I see your point, okay? But in a NCAA tournament, to try to make the comparison, the two are not comparable. They are not comparable. And the reason why is because, first off, this NCAA tournament, this stupid NCAA tournament, the stupidest tournament of all time, it sold for $8 billion over 8 years. So that means every single year it's worth $1 billion. Networks fight for this stupid tournament that literally is $1 billion tournament. Why is it $1 billion tournament? Because people love the fact that anybody can win a game. People love the fact that a 16 seed can lose to a 1 seed can lose to a 16 seed. The year where UMBC beat Virginia, people love that. People love when St. Peter's can beat Purdue. People love these types of upsets. That's why everybody and their mom fills out a March Madness bracket. That is why the phrase March Madness is absolutely one of the biggest phrases in all of sports. People love this stupid tournament, the dumbest tournament, that he continues to reference. And that's why I say this take is so stupid, because for him to say something so egregious as this basically tells me that, all right, you don't care about money. And you know this whole thing is about money. So that's all that it's about. It's about revenue. It's about money. And the fact that a 16 seed can beat a 1 seed, that's what makes this tournament so beautiful. Now, I think it's completely different in football. I don't think JMU has a chance to beat any of these teams. I don't think Tulane has a chance to beat any of the teams in the field, because football is a different sport. Football, I don't think you don't see that many upsets like that in football where these small schools can compete against these bigger schools because the bigger schools are physically more dominant. They impose their will on the line. They have better players all the way around. You won't see the same level of upsets in football as you do basketball. But for him to make the stupid comparison to the NCAA tournament, man, I expect more from you. I expect so much more from you than to say something so dumb like that. That just makes no sense. And for that this week, Joel Klatt, a guy who I respect so much, you're tripping. What do you think, Hank?
No notes, King. I think you nailed it. I mean, look, it's different sports. That's what it comes down to. You know, with the way that the college football playoff is set up, there's obviously issues with that. I'm a little biased as a Texas fan, but if you really want like the best teams in there, then what are we doing? You know, clearly we don't have that this year. Clearly we don't have the 12 best teams. And meanwhile, with college basketball,
you're right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with college basketball, like, I mean, I don't need to repeat what you said, but it's the Cinderella team is part of the magic of the tournament. That is where the drama comes from. You know, I still talk about Dunk City like they're my best friends from childhood. You know, like the certain teams like that, like they make an impact on you. You know, they stick with you, and that's what makes the sport special. So yeah, Joel, stick to football. You're a great analyst. You're very good at what you do. Stick to football.
Stick to football because you're not a basketball guy.
Tell him, King. The other thing is I love when King gets heated. This is you guys. You're seeing a toned down version. He came hot today. So this is we had to get some of the way to blow off some of that steam before we hit record. The last thing we got to talk about on the list today, we can skip it if you don't want to do this in public with microphones, but we got to go back to the coffee thing, man.
Oh my goodness. Black coffee versus adding a little bit of creamer. I'm adding 50 calories of creamer, which is like 2 tablespoons. And Hank wants to say I'm soft.
A little bit of creamer.
It's a little bit of creamer. It's just 2 tablespoons, which is about 50 calories. Hank, how is that soft?
If you shook that, if you just stood there and shook that for like 5 minutes, you would get butter.
It's not like I'm ordering some iced sugar cookie, oat milk,
brown sugar. Look,
latte.
And if you order that, I don't hate on that. And from time to time, I enjoy like a sweet drink. You know, like I'll go for my if I need like an afternoon coffee. Like there's gonna be some oat milk and some sugar in that for sure. But like for me, the way I see it, coffee is fuel in the morning. And if you're like milking it up or watering it down and getting your like sweet treat to start the day, like come on, what are we doing here? Get the black coffee, get the caffeine into you, have it get you through your day.
Like, Hank tells me, he goes, I'm grown and I drink black coffee.
That's true.
This man, Hank, like 24, he's 24 years old. Hank probably don't have a single ounce of hair on his chest. Talking about some, I'm grown and I drink black coffee.
I got the taco meat out. Come on. Yeah, go to YouTube, guys, if you guys want to check that out. No, black coffee is for adults. And once again, no shade. If you drink soft coffee, everyone's entitled to that. But don't like sit here pretending you're some big tough guy. You know.
You know what, Hank? Hank is tripping, but I want to know what you guys think. How do you drink your coffee? Are you a black coffee drinker? Do you like to add a few creams and sugars to it? Or do you just go all the way out and get milkshakes? I don't do that. But if you want to get milkshake coffees, I 100% understand. I'm not going to judge you like Hank has judged me this morning unfairly, but it is what it is. And we appreciate you for tuning in and for joining us, all right? If you like us, subscribe to us, rate us, leave a comment, whatever you want to do. But I do want to hear from you as far as how you drink your coffee. And is Hank tripping or am I tripping, all right? Let us know how you drink your coffee. Until next week, we will see you later. We're out.